Hey everyone, Greg Woodward here, and this is your weekly win. This one's about a technique for outbound that you can use to lead prospects to your desired outcome. In the early part of the sales cycle where outbound takes place, you're dealing with a process that's heavily influenced by your prospect's subconscious mind. At this stage in the game, your prospects are far less likely to make decisions based on logic. So for outbound prospecting, to a degree, you need to be thinking more about how your prospect will react to your approach versus how they're going to respond to it, okay? And one of the biggest challenges with outbound is getting prospects to take your desired action. As salespeople, we must influence prospects to take action in a way that aligns with our objectives. One effective way of doing this is a technique I call anchors and sequences. For example, if I approach you with a message or a phone call, how you perceive what I'm asking you to do, right? How you feel about it is largely governed by emotion or your subconscious, okay? And the goal of this approach, anchors and sequences, is to anchor your prospect's focus past the action you'd like them to take inside of a logical progression of events, okay? So by directing your prospect's focus to a point in the future, what we're doing is we're removing the focus from each of the individual steps that it would take to get there. More steps equals more resistance and more opportunities for your prospect to say no. Let's take a look at how we can apply this technique to outbound prospecting. Say I'm reaching out to a prospect with the goal of scheduling a discovery call. A typical outreach may sound something like this. Hi, George. We specialize in helping HR executives increase retention at their companies. I wanted to see if we could hop on a call this week. In this example, I'm clearly stating my goal of hopping on a call with George. And he knows exactly why I'm reaching out to him and what I'm asking him to do, okay? Now, this approach requires George to make a commitment, and with any commitment comes some level of resistance. Such an approach at this stage in the sales process can quickly lead to a no because it drives prospects to make snap decisions regarding whether or not they want to hop on a call with you. That's not what we want to do here. Instead, one thing we can do is guide our prospects through a sequence of events that places their focus 1 or 2 steps ahead of getting on a call with you, okay? And this way, the call, right, it doesn't feel as much like a commitment. And when we focus our attention further ahead like this in a sequence, our brains react much the same as if the task leading up to that point had already been completed. Think of it like this, right? Let's say you're going on a business trip. Think about all the steps that go into making that trip. You have to pack, get to the airport, park your car, take the shuttle from the parking lot, go through security, sit on the plane, rent a car, get to your hotel, and so forth. All those steps, okay? If you think about every step in the process like this, things can start to feel overwhelming. And what's happening here is your mind is getting bogged down with every step of the process, and that's creating some level of resistance and the feeling that every part of the process is a chore. Now, imagine for a moment that you've got a really big meeting on this trip. Maybe you're speaking at a conference or something like that. Chances are, as you're going through the motions of traveling, like getting to the airport, getting on the plane, checking into your hotel, and so forth, you're thinking about your meeting and how it's going to go. Maybe you're doing some additional prep on the way, okay? When your focus is diverted to the meeting like this, all the other steps in traveling kind of blend together, and they seem like a natural progression as opposed to individual items on a to-do list. The sequence of events in both cases are exactly the same steps, okay? Nothing changes. But when you were focused on the later stage in the process, the meeting, right, you weren't focused as much on the individual components of the task, and that removed resistance. So in this example, the sequence of events included the act of traveling, while the anchor was your meeting. Now let's try doing the same thing with cold outreach to prospects, whether it be a call or email, okay? Here's an example. Hi, George. I read your article in TechCrunch and was really impressed with some of the points you made about employee retention. We specialize in helping HR executives increase retention at their companies, and I think there may be a fit here. Our CEO is doing a live demo next week for a small group of HR executives, and I wanted to share some information with you just to qualify your level of interest. Can we connect briefly at some point this week? Did you notice the anchor here? Okay? In this example, we still want George to schedule a call with us, right? A discovery call, but we used the live demo with our CEO as the anchor. The usual sequence of events in a sales cycle would be approaching George, asking him for a discovery call, and then scheduling the demo. By switching the order of the sequence, mentioning that our CEO is doing a demo just before we asked for the call, what we're doing is we're shifting George's focus to the demo and away from the act of scheduling the call. This kind of an approach can remove resistance, as getting on a call no longer feels like much of a commitment because the prospect's mind is already one step ahead in the process. By directing the prospect's focus to a step that they aren't yet being asked to commit to, what we're doing is we're making the next step, hopping on a call with you, not feel like much of a step at all. Anchors and sequences are a powerful tool that you can use to really lead discussions with your prospects. And when that happens, we win.